Hello everyone, welcome to the Microdesk webinar series. My name is Ravli Ravalapati and I'm the Marketing Manager for the Western region. Welcome to today's webinar, Building Design Suite Revit Structure 2012. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, I'm going to give a little background of who Microdesk is. Microdesk is an Autodesk Gold, Oracle, and Google partner. We provide technology training and consulting solutions for the AEC industry. We have 12 offices located throughout the East and West Coast with a staff of over 90 consulting and technical specialists. Over the next hour, we'll take a closer look at some of the new tools in the latest suite of building information modeling software from Autodesk. In this session, we'll explore Revit Structure, included in the Building Design Suite 2012 Premium and Ultimate. You'll find out how features like construction modeling tools and visualization display options allow for better insight in your design and can help make your ideas a reality. Presenting today's session is Microdesk Solutions Specialist Josh Gianfrido. Josh is a solution specialist here at Microdesk, and he specializes in helping firms implement BIM technology with both Revit and AutoCAD-based platforms. Josh's Revit knowledge was gained while working as a structural engineer, so he understands the workflow and optimization concerns of the structural engineering industry. He is a certified EIT and a member of the American Society of Civil Engineers and Structural Engineers Association of Rhode Island. I'm going to go over just a few logistics before we begin. In order to minimize any background distractions, you're all on mute for the duration of the session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the question area of the webinar toolbar to the right of your screen. Josh will address as many questions as he can at the end of the presentation. And if we run out of time, we'll provide you with our contact information so you can follow up with us. And now I'll turn it over to Josh.
Thank you, Ravali, and welcome all. Let's jump in and discuss what changes you can expect to see in Revit Structure 2012. We can break down the major changes into three categories: enhanced productivity, BIM workflow, and collaboration and performance. So we'll touch on those three today. Let's start by talking about some changes meant to enhance productivity. In this release, you can find some enhancements to help users create and manage the structural analytical model, such as better visibility and greater control over the model. Users have a special mode for editing the analytical model. It enables structural engineers to manipulate the analytical model in a way that makes sense to us and helps provide us with flexibility to create the analytical model we want. Accessing the edit mode can be done through the Analytical Adjustment button located on the Analysis tab in Revit Structure. Additionally, access is provided on all analytical model element contextual tabs. Both buttons start the edit mode in the same manner. There are nodes at the ends of beams, braces, and columns. Thanks to them, users can easily manipulate the analytical model. Control of the visibility of the analytical model has been enhanced by adding a tab to the Visibility Graphics Overrides dialog. Analytical model visibility settings that formerly existed in the Models category tab have been migrated to the Analytical Model categories tab. These include boundary conditions, structural internal loads, and structural load cases. Now users have faster access to all analytical settings. In this release, users can identify ends of linear elements to more easily define boundary conditions for those elements. It is possible to turn on color coding of analytical model end segments to help identify those ends, the starts and the ends of each analytical element. This can be achieved by checking the Differentiate Ends of Linear Analytical Elements in the Analytical Model Settings tab of the Structural Settings dialog. The user can more easily decide if an element is structural or not. Physical elements that can have an analytical model contain the Enable Analytical Model parameter, and unchecking this parameter will remove the analytical model from the physical element. Floor, slab, and wall analytical models have surfaces. Thanks to this, those structural elements can be easily identified in the analytical model view. Properties of the surface can be set via the Object Styles dialog. There is also an Adjust Wall feature. Analytical walls can be adjusted so that their end edges correspond with other analytical wall edge or wall surfaces. These changes improve Revit Structure's ability to manipulate the analytical model to help solve round-tripping issues between Revit Structure and structural analysis software. There are 3 modes for placing planar rebar. Previously, the user had to choose between 2, working parallel to work plane and perpendicular to work plane. In this release, the perpendicular mode is divided into 2 separate modes, perpendicular to work plane and parallel to cover, and perpendicular to work plane and perpendicular to cover. These 3 modes, combined with the ability to flip and rotate the rebar in 8 different orientations by pressing the spacebar, provide 24 unique placement positions. Users have also the ability to model rebar shapes that are bent in more than one plane. In the Rebar Family Editor, users can create a copy of the existing shape connected via segments bent out of plane. This allows the creation of many of the most common multiplanar shapes. Elements created with this category can host reinforcement as long as the structural type family parameter is set to concrete or precast concrete. These elements also join to concrete structural columns and walls. Generic model families have a family parameter named can host rebar. Checking this parameter to on gives the generic model family the appropriate rebar cover settings and allows these elements to host rebar. Also, generic model families report a volume parameter. Planar reinforcement is depicted more accurately in both 2 and 3Ds. These intersecting bars overlap as they should. The level of detail is maintained with the existing symbolic nature of rebar. Rebar stirrup and tie style families can be set to snap to the exterior of a cover reference rather than to the interior. These additional functionalities of reinforcement modeling and visualization help move us forward to the next stage for detailing and scheduling. Family Editor and conceptual design tools have seen several enhancements to extend their capabilities. Solid cut and void cuts are now available on family instance of any category in the project environment. You can now perform rounding functions and formulas, and values can be rounded up or down. You can also allow creation of parameters to drive component types in families. Those parameters can be driven by conditional formulas and applied to divided surfaces. Adaptive components can be now placed in the project environment. When placed in the project, adaptive components behave similarly to families from the generic model template, as well as behaving similarly when placed in conceptual massing families. Integrating conceptual design workflow and family editor capabilities into the project environment helps create the flexibility in modeling to help provide a smoother design workflow. Visualization enhancements present you with more flexibility in the visual style combinations, adding value to visualization techniques and improving the interactive experience. The graphics display dialog has been enhanced to a more componentized format that closely resembles the rendering dialog structure. You can now save a view template directly from this dialog as well. Some of the new and enhanced view styles are realistic with edge mode, ambient light and hidden line in consistent colors mode. Shadows are now available in consistent colors mode. And ghosted surfaces, which displays all surfaces with a 30% transparency, is now available in all view styles. Highlight and selection colors have been updated to provide a better visual when selecting elements. Transparency and solid fill have been enabled on the selection. New grip graphics and new temporary dimension graphics have been enabled as well. You can now create, share, and manage material properties across many projects. Data sharing between Revit Structure and other applications creates better workflow compatibility. An enhanced paint tool includes a visual preview of the materials to be applied by the paint tool and a new remove paint tool. Additionally, it's now possible to differentiate scheduled materials between those applied to elements and those applied to painted surfaces. You have the ability to manage your material property sets by using Material Properties Library dialog. You can modify a set load a property set from a library, or delete all unused property sets and materials from a project. You can now browse for a materials library that has been previously created. It extends your rendering capabilities because you can share different property sets from different rendering software. You can also remove a library that you no longer need to keep your project organized. Summing up, Revit's increased graphical presentation capabilities help better communicate design intent. The materials library is more user-friendly and customizable. It is much easier to apply finished materials to surfaces with more accurate quantity takeoffs and maintain your own materials appearance libraries. Several refinements and new features will enhance the everyday workflow by adding new capabilities. You can now lock a 3D view and tag elements in that view to better communicate your design in 3D by tagging and annotating within that view. The type selector has been improved to make access easier. You can now change the element type using the type selector tool while in sketch mode. Also, you can add the type selector to Modify tab by right-clicking on the type selector in the Properties palette and selecting Add to Ribbon Modify tab. The Keyboard Shortcuts dialog provides a quick and easy way to assign shortcuts to all of your tools, including single key entry and warnings on duplicate shortcut creation. Starting views allows you to dictate which Revit structure should open by default when the file is loaded. These enhancements to existing and new features enable a smoother workflow, making simple tasks easier to accomplish. You can now save all of your families in the current project to individual Revit family files with a single command. You can also import or export the type parameters from a loaded family to a TXT file. This provides you an easy way to better organize your family library. Enhancements have been made to the dimension tool. You can now customize dimension equality text. The EQ text can be overridden to achieve a customized result for individual dimension segments. New dimension leader and text is also available that allows for more customization. So let's move on and talk about some of the changes meant to improve workflow. New construction modeling tools help you derive better construction insight by coordinating the design model and construction model within one single file. Create Parts Divide Model tools provide a method for dividing Revit geometry into smaller parts for the purposes of creating more accurate schedules, quantity takeoffs, visualizations, and exports. Visibility controls help you maintain a persistent design model, while the construction model can represent more accurate as-built conditions. Assemblies help support the creation of shop drawings for prefabrication building assemblies such as precast walls, columns, beams, and floors. An assembly can be selected, scheduled, isolated, tagged, and tracked in the project. All annotations and views created inside the assembly view will not appear nor interfere with regular views of the main model. Construction modeling supports virtual construction modeling workflows with specific focus on 4D sequencing, including scheduling, visualizations, documentations, and coordinations. Revit Point Cloud tools connect laser scanners directly into the building information modeling process using Revit Structure in an efficient way. Capturing the existing conditions of a building or interior more accurately can help accelerate work on renovations and retrofit projects. Point cloud tools provide many standard reload, unload, remove functionalities similar to other kinds of linked objects. At the same time, the point cloud behaves like a model object within Revit Structure. Geometry creation and modification tools in Revit Structure are now capable of snapping to implicit planar surfaces that are dynamically detected in the point cloud. Improvements to the DWG export interface provide a smoother workflow, taking into account new options for export. It provides better visual and greater data fidelity of exported 2D views to DWG, including more control over exporting layers, dimensions, line types, line patterns, and fonts to improve the clarity of construction drawings in AutoCAD software, minimizing the loss of visual fidelity. Model links continue to improve by providing more flexibility in working with projects, enabling you to tag a variety of elements within linked files. New to this release is the ability to tag rooms, spaces, areas, keynotes, beams, and beam systems. These enhancements provide more flexibility in working with large projects by offering more options with linking, importing, and exporting. Let's now discuss enhancements meant to ease collaboration and increase performance. With Revit Structure 2012 release, Revit Structure increases efficiency using work sharing. The new work sharing enhancements enable you to better communicate and visualize the status of the work sharing project. Work set visibility can now be managed via view templates. This new functionality is available in the standard view templates dialog. There are 4 new display modes that enable users to visualize different statuses of ownership, making it easier to communicate with colleagues. And they are the ownership status of elements, 2, the specific owners of the elements, 3, elements that are out of date with the central model or have been deleted in the central model, and finally, which elements are assigned to particular work sets. A new Disable Work Sharing command is now available, allowing you to disable work sharing completely in the project and save it as a non-work sharing project. Revit Structure now provides balloon notifications when editing requests are placed, granted, or denied. The notifications have buttons to let you show the elements involved, providing a much faster and efficient way for you to communicate with your colleagues. Work sharing enhancements help you better understand and collaborate on shared models across the project team, gain more visibility into element ownership and status to better manage team workflows. Performance improvements in Revit Structure 2012 help deliver a smoother experience when working on Revit projects of any size. Regenerations are more granular to avoid updating elements unaffected by editing changes, which helps reduce time significantly. You can also now purge unused import categories and object styles. Loading elements into memory is now multi-threaded, thereby helping to reduce view open times when elements are displayed for the first time in the session. These performance improvements help deliver a smoother experience when working on Revit projects of large size. More multi-thread operations and improvements to imported data management result in faster open and load times within the project. Revit Server helps project teams in different locations to more easily collaborate on shared Revit models across a wide area network with the speed of a local area network. You can better maintain a more seamlessly integrated collection of Revit central models on a single central server that can be accessed from local servers. Revit Structure 2012 is also now Citrix ready. Therefore, Revit Structure now gives you more flexibility and options for collaborating on shared Revit models for geographically dispersed teams remotely using a single server. So this concludes my presentation portion of this webinar, and now I'll pass it back to Ravali for some closing remarks and the questions.
Thank you. That was a great presentation. There was one question that a couple of people are asked. They need an introduction to Revit webinar, and I did reply saying that that is probably going to be one of our webinars. And if you guys could email us at webinars@microdesk.com, we'll be sure to try to get one of those up on our schedule. Once again, that's webinars with an S at microdesk.com. And if any of you think of any questions, actually, there's another question that just came in. But if you guys do think of questions in the future, please do email us there. And the other question, are these being recorded? Yes, they are going to be recorded. They are being recorded, and we will get them up on our website in the next couple of weeks. So definitely check back with us. Well, it doesn't look like there's any other ones, but I want to go into the next slide. And I want to thank Josh and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We hope you found this helpful and educational. On that website right there, you can get a more in-depth look at Revit, and head over to our website, and you can just select the Revit in the products menu, and it can give you all the Revit products there. The next slide will show you the information to our links. We have these webinars every Friday as a service to you, and you can also check out our training or course catalog. If there's any custom training you'd like, you could definitely check that out as well. You could join our mailing list at marketing@microdesk.com to get all the information, or you can contact us at the number listed below. Once again, I want to thank everyone for your time today. We hope to see you at our next one. Thanks again. Bye-bye.